Henyard says she is endorsing a new board, but not announcing who they are just yet, instead promising to name them later this month. Henyard is under investigation by the FBI.
You're using public funds for something that taxpayer dollars shouldn't.
The rise and fall of Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed supermayor of Dalton, is a story marked by controversy, bold accusations, and a series of divisive leadership decisions. To understand how her tenure unraveled into crisis, it is essential to examine the chain of events that led to her dramatic downfall. Henyard's ascent to power came amid tragedy and uncertainty following the unexpected death of the previous mayor. She was rapidly thrust into a position of authority through a rushed appointment process, leaving many residents and officials questioning her preparedness from the outset. Her leadership style immediately raised concerns. She swiftly made high-profile decisions, including firing long-standing employees and surrounding herself with loyalists. This created an atmosphere of control that was both praised and criticized. Initially, her promises to revitalize Dalton sparked hope, but that optimism quickly turned into suspicion. Her administration soon became embroiled in allegations of financial mismanagement. Reports surfaced of extravagant spending habits, including lavish Amazon shopping sprees and unnecessary expenditures, further fueling public concern. Luxury trips and the use of public funds to secure a personal police detail further fueled rumors of corruption, deepening public distrust. Meanwhile, Henyard's salary, significantly higher than that of Illinois's governor, stood in stark contrast to the financial struggles of Dalton's residents. Embracing the title of supermayor, Henyard's increasingly grandiose behavior seemed to shift her focus from the town's needs to her personal brand of leadership. Controversial board meetings became battlegrounds, with heated debates between her critics and loyal supporters. As divisions within the community grew, Henyard's combative approach to addressing her detractors only worsened the situation. She adopted a defensive stance, refusing to back down or openly engage with her critics. Allegations of corruption continued to mount, and despite calls for transparency, Henyard clung to power. She held private meetings, avoided tough questions, and presented herself as an embattled savior determined to steer Dalton through turbulent times. However, mounting evidence of financial mismanagement, abuses of power, and ethical violations could no longer be ignored. A sense of betrayal spread throughout the community, with many residents questioning whether Henyard's administration had crossed the line. As the allegations escalated, federal investigators began to take notice of rebuilding trust and restoring stability. Whispers of a federal probe quickly gained traction, and the specter of legal trouble loomed ever larger. Henyard's supporters began to waver, and many who had once defended her leadership grew uncertain of her innocence. The narrative that once painted her as the town's savior now unraveled as new reports of potential misconduct surfaced, further eroding public trust. In response to mounting pressure, Henyard doubled down on secrecy and refused to engage with the public in a meaningful way. Town hall meetings, once intended to foster dialogue, became more like rallies, with Henyard cutting off discussions, avoiding tough questions, and abruptly ending sessions. This only intensified the frustration among Dalton's residents, who felt increasingly alienated and ignored. The situation reached its dramatic climax when federal agents raided Henyard's office and home, confirming the severity of the investigation into her actions. The raid marked the beginning of the end for her reign, as the legal ramifications of her conduct came into sharper focus. News of her arrest spread quickly, leaving Dalton's residents stunned and divided. For many, it was a moment of vindication. But it was also a sobering realization of the damage Henyard had inflicted on the town during her tenure. By the time Henyard was arrested, Dalton was already reeling. The community was left to grapple with the fallout from her leadership, facing the difficult task of rebuilding trust, restoring governance, and healing the divisions left in her wake. Essential to recognize the deep impact Henyard's leadership had on Dalton and its residents. After years of controversy and division, her story, from a meteoric rise to an equally dramatic fall, serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of prioritizing personal gain over the public good. It is a story that not only resonates in Dalton, but offers a broader lesson for communities everywhere. Despite the legal turmoil, the embattled Dalton mayor, Tiffany Henyard, is mounting a re-election bid. However, her arrest at her Dalton residence in the early morning sent shockwaves through the community, marking the dramatic culmination of a series of controversies that had plagued her tenure as both mayor and township supervisor. Witnesses reported seeing several federal officers enter the property. Her lover, Kamal Woods, who has faced Henyard described this high visibility as a way to stay connected with her constituents, famously declaring in one public speech, "I am the people's mayor and supervisor." However, many critics saw it as excessive self-aggrandizement, accusing her of prioritizing personal branding over effective governance. While Henyard dismissed these accusations, insisting that she was a leader who loved engaging with her community, skepticism about her leadership only grew as more details of her controversial actions came to light. Her tenure became increasingly defined by allegations of improper behavior and questionable decisions, many of which landed her in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. These controversies painted a picture of a leader whose governance style was driven more by personal ambition than by a genuine dedication to the well-being of Dalton's residents. Her administration intensified the divide between her supporters and critics widened. One of the most significant issues that brought Henyard under scrutiny was her financial management. Reports suggested that taxpayer money was being used to fund personal endeavors, including lavish Amazon shopping sprees, extravagant trips, and even the hiring of a personal police detail. These expenditures raised serious questions about her commitment to fiscal responsibility, particularly in a community where many residents struggled financially. Critics argued that Henyard exploited her position for personal gain, a sentiment that grew louder as federal investigators began scrutinizing her administration's financial dealings more closely, as Henyard's bold public persona continued to dominate headlines. It drew both admiration and criticism. Her supporters praised her charisma, arguing that her proactive and visible leadership made her relatable to the people she served. However, detractors pointed to her tendency to monopolize public attention and resources, viewing her excessive self-promotion as evidence of deeper issues with her priorities in office. Her self-styled role as super mayor resonated with her base but alienated others who felt it distracted from her effectiveness as a leader and represented a fundamental misunderstanding of what public service should entail. As investigations into her administration deepened, the once powerful image she had carefully cultivated began to crack under the weight of mounting allegations. As Henyard's activities intensified, the drama surrounding her administration only escalated. A combination of bold claims, divisive policies, and financial controversies created an atmosphere of uncertainty and mistrust within the community. Her administration was often described as chaotic and self-serving, with allegations of misusing public funds to bolster her personal image. Reports of lavish spending, including her infamous Amazon spree and luxury trips, drew scrutiny from watchdog groups and public officials alike. Mounting outrage from the community led to calls for greater transparency, but Henyard appeared to double down on her position, often deflecting criticism or minimizing the seriousness of the accusations against her. By the time federal officials moved in to arrest her, her reputation had become more polarizing than ever. Some continued to rally behind her, arguing that she had been unfairly targeted, while others felt vindicated, seeing her arrest as long overdue. Accountability for a leader they believed had failed to serve the people. The presence of Kamal Woods at her arrest only added another layer of intrigue, further linking Henyard to a tangled web of personal and professional controversy. Woods, already known for his own scandals, was seen as part of the spectacle that had defined Henyard's time in office. For a leader whose tenure had been as much about theatrics as governance, her dramatic fall from power seemed almost inevitable. Henyard's arrest served as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of governance that prioritizes image over integrity. The fallout from her arrest has left Dalton and Thornton Township reeling as the community struggles to reckon with the damage caused by years of divisive leadership and financial mismanagement. Her downfall, once seen as inevitable by many, underscores the dangers of placing personal ambition above the needs of the public. It also highlights the critical importance of holding leaders accountable for their actions. As Dalton moves forward, the challenge now lies in rebuilding trust, restoring transparency, and ensuring that future leadership truly serves the interests of the people.